Hey guys, so for War 2, I've got a team of Moleman, Zoom, and Magneto. The bands were Ghost, Herc, and Torch today. I mean, not Ghost, Herc, and Torch. Ghost, Herc, and Corvus. So yeah. For this Void fight, it's a pretty simple fight. You just kind of end it with a Frenzy L2, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this fight, really. You know, you want to avoid going into Frenzy too early, because then he can get the Fury, and if he gets the Fury, there's a little bit of risk if he clips you. It's still perfectly fine, because Small Man has crazy damage and all, but it's easier if you, wait to enter Frenzy until you're ready to throw that L2. As I'll show here, I'm not throwing any heavies yet, and then, now that I'm at the L2, I throw the heavy, and and Void waits for this debuff, which is nice. It doesn't really matter, I was at a 9 combo anyway, so I would have shrugged it, but yeah, and then the bleeds just kill. Yeah, very easy fight, of course. And then there's this Nova. For this Nova, there's really not much to it with Doom. Like, you just get to your L3, get the knockdown, and then the fight's basically over. It's a pretty simple Doom fight. And, even if you tank combos for days, you're gonna solo this, because it's Nova with Doom, Really not much that can go wrong. He gets the unblockable buff here, so we just hit into his block to nullify it. And yeah, we're gonna get these heavies for some extra damage and staggers to feed Mystic Dispersion, because we have MD5 on, and then we're gonna knock down before throwing this L3 for more damage, of course, and then we're gonna build to an L2 after this, and the L2 will just end. He has Power Focus 1, so you can't do the normal Doom cycle, but it doesn't really matter. Normally, I would pop a 200% Mystic for something like this on Path 5 with Doom, but this is just such an easy fight that there's no reason to waste the 200% Mystic for it, And then for my Magneto fight, my first Magneto fight of the war, it's the Civil Warrior with Unstoppable Armor, and Magneto is just amazing for Unstoppable Armor. Because he stops the armor ups from triggering, and if you can't trigger your armor ups, then you can't go unstoppable. And I have 3 out of 3 pacify on, so when I have him stunned, he cannot trigger an armor up at all, and then my first L3 is going to kill. So, a very simple matchup with Magneto. The main thing you want to pay attention to is the overlapping timers here, as always with Mixmaster. There's those overlapping timers, which are just really, really annoying. And yeah, we're going to build to our L3, let it off, and the fight will just be over. We do have half suicides on. This is mostly for my Moleman fights. But it doesn't hurt Magneto, because it's the bleed half, and he just heals from that. So yeah. We're doing some medium heavies just to get a little bit of extra power to end this fight slightly quicker. Then, at this point, we're going to start charging our heavy to get those permanent prowess. I mean, the temporary prowess as well. And yeah, here he dexes out of my heavy, because I'm dumb. And I probably should have just thrown my L3 there. I don't know why I waited, but yeah. Then we charge here. And yeah, the fight's just over at this point. Yeah, not much to say here. It's Magneto, so, the fights are pretty simple. And we just let the bleeds tick out. And the fight's over. Now, for the Spider-Ham, what I want to do is enter Frenzy pretty quickly and keep our evade counter up. And yeah, once you enter Frenzy early, you can just block unblockable forever, which takes away all the danger of this node. So, it's really simple. And yeah, we're going to try and push him to an L1 with our heavy. This is just to get these extra debuffs. And to make sure he doesn't get the taunt while I'm in Frenzy, because that would make it so I can't shrug the taunt. And yeah, here, I probably should have waited for these, nonsense charges to go away so my, special would do full damage, but it doesn't really matter, because the fight's just over. And then for this Knull, we want to enter Frenzy immediately again, and, yeah, just block everything and use the specials to kill him. He does have some bleed resistance. I didn't mean to click this, but yeah, he does have some bleed resistance, so it's not going to be as quick, with combos and all. So it will take a second special too, but it's a super simple fight with Mole Man. Most definitely the best option for this fight. Oh yeah, for these unblockable fights, Mole Man does need points in standing ground to be able to block unblockable. I'm not sure how many points he needs, but I always run 5 out of 5 standing ground for defense anyway. So, I'm always going to be able to block unblockable regardless. And yeah. We enter Frenzy. He gives me a bunch of charges. It's a high signal, so I knew we were going to be good to just enter Frenzy immediately without needing to throw many heavies. And yeah, we blocked that L2. And the fight's over at this point. Yeah. And now for my final 2 fights of the war, we have an Angela on this missing in action node. I think the main reason she's placed here is because of the nullify immunity and the shock, and getting rid of shocks so quick that it's a little bit hard to use Doom here. But, any metal, well, pretty much any metal is going to be an easy Magneto fight on this node. I forgot the first stun doesn't get the duration from the magnetize. That's just a little slip up. But, it's Magneto, and we're going to get a bunch of willpower healing here anyway. So we're going to still end the fight high health. But yeah, he's got a miss counter to make missing in action not matter. He stops unstoppable armor, of course. And then power reserve just doesn't matter because of how quickly he ends fights. And yeah, we're going to do that heavy counter and charge this, and the fight's over. Yeah, pretty easy fight with Magneto. You definitely don't want to be placing metals on this node, in my opinion. Because anything that's metal will just be magnetoed unless it's something like Nimrod or like Mojo or something like that, You definitely want to try and avoid placing a Magneto fight on that node. And then on the node after, we have this Hulkbuster on Conflictor, and now normally, this can get pretty dangerous with Magneto, but if you pop on 3 out of 3 for Pacify, then you turn off Conflictor, and you can always just parry heavy. I do have an invuln popped here, no specific reason, just wanted to use an invuln, and again, I make the same mistake 2 fights in a row, but yeah. The reason he's not giving me the shocks here is the magnetism, which prevents him from actually removing his armor ups, which is really annoying for this fight, because it removes the amount of prowess I'm getting. And yeah, we want to try and time our stuns, so that it would line up with when he's gaining armor ups, both the unstoppable armor ones and his own timer. But we still have a really good chance to trigger it regardless either way. Stop it regardless either way. But yeah, pretty safe option here. Gonna bait out this, and then we're just good to go. We do that heavy counter, and then we should have just thrown the L3 right there. Oh, wait, no. The reason I'm waiting to throw this L3 is because I want to do it during a parry, because this will let Conflictor never shrug any of the bleeds. And now the fight's over. And yeah, we won this war, a really sloppy war from both sides, but at least we got the win, I guess. Wins all that matters, and yeah. Decent war for myself.